125th, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Orlando, Indianapolis, Houston, and now, Black Ink Radio.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Sis What's Good. Yes. You may see an unfamiliar face to the ones who listen to our faithful listeners to the show. The man behind the camera is now in front of the camera. My husband is joining us today.
Clap it up.
And we want to send our best regards to my co-host, Tea Time Terrence. He got into a car accident, so we are praying for a speedy recovery for him, and we expect him to be back next week.
Period.
Yeah, keep him in your prayers.
Yes. So a lot of things have went on this week. So we want to cover some hot topics first. And then we have an awesome conversation that we want to talk about, and it's polygamy.
Polyamory.
Polyamory.
Yep.
And
we have a special guest from Atlanta's polyamory community, Miss Lisa Bradley. So we'll bring her out after we touch on these current events.
Yes. So let's get over these current events so we can get on this on this conversation. So driving on the way here, I saw the gas prices. $5.49 for a regular. Is that crazy? And I asked you, and I was like, was it this bad when 9/11 happened?
No, so you're confusing 9/11 with President Bush's second term.
Okay.
So no, to answer your question, they weren't this bad in 2008, 2007. This is the worst it's been in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. I think the only other time in history it was this bad was under Jimmy Carter, and he was in the late 70s, early 80s, so we weren't born yet.
Wow. So, and I know if it's bad here in Atlanta, I can just imagine like in California what the prices are.
It's probably like $7.
In New York and stuff. Like it's probably ridiculous.
Crazy.
So I want to touch on that. So you guys be aware, fill up your tanks, try to kill. If you don't need to go nowhere, if you can ride your bike or walk, do that, lose some pounds. It's starting to get warm outside.
Period.
Let's move on to Kim and Kanye. So you know it's getting heated up because the premiere is about to come out in a couple of weeks.
Ooh.
On Hulu.
Ooh.
And
it might be outside. It's hitting me hard in my ear.
That means something's on. That means there's something on because my speakers ain't even on.
Oh.
Go ahead. I'll fix it.
So we know that they are doing all. You know, Kanye and Kim love the attention. They both are so in love with themselves, and they have met the right match. They are going in on each other on social media to hype up their show. They go back and forth saying they don't want their public information on the internet, but then they're filming everything for the show. Does that make any kind of sense?
Again, I'm probably the wrong person to talk about this topic, but none of it makes sense. I do agree with your point that they probably met their match equally, that they both love attention and can't get past putting everything out for the public to see. I just don't understand why there's absolutely no boundaries at all. Like, when do you draw the line? Like, when is enough enough?
When do you draw the line? But because there's been so much drama and Kanye has been off his rockers, I will be tuning in. Okay. I also want to touch on.
That's the problem. People like you that can't stop tuning in.
Because I mean, it's
draw the line. Like, it's just too much.
I mean, for real, it is interesting. Like they say they don't want it out there, but then they put it out there. I want to see the drama because you see it unfold online. So I want to see the whole storyline.
And
that's what draws people in.
Again, I'm not gonna try and pass judgment on people. I'll just say that at some point, if folks start ignoring them, they will start handling their business like regular adults.
And I think, that's why the Hulu show came out, because they were kind of fading out. Like people weren't really paying them any attention. And when they said they were done with their 20th season, now they come back with this, and now all this drama's come out. So That's what I think.
125th, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Orlando.
I also want to talk about hit on Joe Budden and Nicki Minaj's interview, which was a great interview if you did watch it. Nicki Minaj was so uncandid. I loved it. And she even, what we expected for a long time, that she had her body altered and the butt injections. And she actually admitted to it. So I give kudos to her. I wish, and she said that a lot of men like Lil Wayne and the people who was in her inner circle were making fun of her because of her body shape, and would bring other women that had that body shape and kind of peer pressured her into doing it. But I do also have to say that even in her music, she kind of puts it out there too. So it's like, okay, you felt some type of way how they, and I love me some Nicki, so the Nicki fans do not come for me, the Barbs do not come for me, because I do love me some Nicki. We love Nick. But if these men put these pressure on you to do this, why are you making the image and putting these girls, especially in this social media day, why are you putting the pressure on these young girls to do the same thing that you did? So I kind of think
is that how you interpreted it?
That's how I, because in her music and her lyrics, she's mentioning her ass and her big butt and all this stuff. Like,
I always thought at the very beginning, even though we kind of knew she had surgery, that she made it seem like it was her butt, and that was the mystique around it. We could all tell it wasn't her butt, but she wasn't leading. Like, to your point, she just admitted it just recently.
But in one of her raps, in one of the rap she did, she was like, "Where if I got butt shops?" Like, y'all worried about. She's like, y'all worried about the wrong things, but she really did have ass injections.
Hey.
So, but I'm glad she admitted it, and she also mentioned Lil' Kim, because I'm
glad she gave Kim her props.
She gave Kim her props, and she was like, if we're influencers, especially influencers in fashion, that they should be on the cover of Vogue. And she did also mention going to Yeezy and asking him to start like a Yeezy for a female line, and he turned her down and said, if anybody is going to get the opportunity, it will be my wife.
His now ex-wife.
So I mean, maybe she can approach him now and see if the story be different. Because then she went on to explain how hard it is for people of African American Black people to get into that fashion world, to break into that fashion world of high fashion. He explained how hard it was, and she was like, "Well, damn! Like, how can you say that? You know how hard it is. How come you can't give another Black female that opportunity?" So, a good interview. If you haven't watched it, go on YouTube. It was an excellent interview. She was very uncandid. Joe Budden and her had a feud, and they seemed to settle their differences, and that was a very awesome interview, and I loved it. And the last hot topic, because we could talk about a lot of different things, but we have a guest tonight. So the last hot topic I want to touch on are the double standards in the industry and just in life, period. So in an interview that just happened with Lil Durk, he said that he would not wife a woman who has a large body count. And that just appalled me. That appalled me so much, because I'm like, that's why women lie about their body count now. Okay? So like, it doesn't matter how many, that's the past. However many men a woman decides to sleep with, that is her prerogative, that is her business, that is her choice. So, if she shouldn't be forced to do it, as long as if she consents to do it, that's whatever. If she decides to be with you and only you at that point going forward, that shouldn't be an issue.
So I like the way you position the topic, because the stereotypes are still pervasive and they exist. But if you recall, my stance on this. I was actually having a conversation with you and Christina about it last fall. And for me, I've always seen it from sort of an alternative view. If men are out here having lots of sex with women, that means women are having lots of sex with men. right?
With women.
No, with men.
You said
everybody's
men out
having
here
sex. If sex is being had, right?
If niggas is being hoes, they not being hoes by themselves.
By themselves,
Thank you,
exactly.
I mean,
right.
but, okay, Rich said it in a more simplified way to me.
Right.
That's exactly
They're
what I was trying to say.
out here with women.
Right.
Yeah, so it shouldn't bother you if a woman has a quote unquote high body count, right? That should be the last thing on your mind. What should be on your mind is you all's bond and you all's relationship, right? And where it can or can't go in the future. So I found that a lot of insecure dudes bring stuff like that up to hold it against women. Mm-hmm. It also has a negative effect on women and how comfortable they are with their sexuality, right? But at the same time, we're starting to see this renaissance among women where they're owning their sexual prowess.
They
like
are.
with the Megan Thee Stallions, the City Girls, and it's
mm-hmm.
intimidating a lot of men. Right? So
It is intimidating.
everything
a lot of
always
men.
balances itself out. I like Lil Durk's music. This
I like his
industry
music
and stuff
too.
is weird because you get to talking about people like you know them.
Well, and
I just don't agree with his opinion.
I don't agree with his opinion.
I think he misspoke because you'll never know a woman's body count.
Because she can lie about
What
it.
I think that what I think he's trying to get at is how some of these dudes be wifing these girls that's been around the industry now. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like with that I get what he's saying. Now if I'm going to date a girl that's been around a lot of dudes in the industry, it's visible to the world. Mm-hmm. So I can get that part. I wouldn't personally care, but I think that's kind of where I think he was trying to get at.
Well, I'll say this. So even on a smaller scale,
Right.
that's a large scale with the industry.
Yeah.
Screens are everywhere now. So
So you gonna see it regardless.
see it regardless.
You
You
are gonna see it
absolutely right.
regardless.
so you're
You
probably
are.
gonna have to become more secure.
With yourself.
With
yeah,
yourself
It don't
and
matter
your
who she was with.
sexuality.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
If you're looking to build something serious with this young lady, her past should not inhibit what you all are gonna do in the future. That's just the reality of it. Again, if dudes don't understand that yet, as they mature, they'll gradually transition into that mindset where they're not looking at that through that lens, right? Like Rich said it the best way, so you know.
I mean, Dirk's young. He'll grow up.
He'll grow up. You grow up.
He'll grow up.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to touch on, it was this podcast. I forgot what podcast it was on, and a man was talking about if a woman, he said he talked to a woman, and a woman said she's made a lot of money, she's very successful. All she needs now is a man, and he said she's automatically X'd out.
I saw that clip. I don't understand it. I don't understand what he was trying
Now
to say.
he has a little dick. That's what he has. Because if you are intimidated by a woman, if you are intimidated by a successful woman, you are so insecure, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Again,
why wouldn't you want to build with your partner? Why wouldn't you want your woman to be successful? Why would you even want to? Why wouldn't you even X her out because she is successful? Because she could take you places you probably ain't never seen before.
So again, going back to the last topic with Lil Durk, we are in a time where women are starting to thrive, right? They're starting to thrive professionally, socially, and it's kind of knocking down an old Morway that used to exist in society, where men were kind of driving that, right? They were the ones that were seen as the providers. They were the ones that were thriving professionally and socially. So it's almost like the roles have switched a bit. And he expressed through his insecurity how uncomfortable it is, right? And intimidating it is from where he sits in the process to pursue a woman who has already achieved so much. So what you heard him say without saying is, I feel intimidated because I feel like she's already done everything, and there's nothing that I can do.
And I want to talk something personally that happened with me, just me being in my 20s when I was out here dating, and a lot of men tried to not elevate me. They tried to keep me where I was so I wouldn't elevate, so I could depend on them. They wanted me to depend on them and ask them for money and ask me to do this and depend on that until I got with my husband, and he was asking me all the kind of questions like, what are your goals? What is your credit score? I'm like, I ain't never been asked this by no man, you know. And he tried to, he was like, you know, I want a future with you. We need to build together. Like these are some important questions I need to know if we want to build together. But no other man that I dated had no interest in trying to build with me or build me up. They wanted to keep me at that point. You know,
So-
and
that's why he's your husband.
And that's why this is right here.
Thank you. All right, so again, a lot of men, I appreciate that too, baby. That's all real, by the way. A lot of men are just plain on insecure. Like,
Fact.
to even be with a woman like my wife. My wife is the Holy Trinity. I tell her this all the time. She's beauty, she's brains, and she's got her head screwed on from a business standpoint. So you have to be secure. When we go out, my wife likes to look good. She likes to look good before we were together. She still likes to look good. I'm not going to try and control that. However, you know, I still expect people to be respectful. And when we're out, you know, people look. Then you got people that actually come to me and like, yo, I just want to give you, you know, a shout out and show you some love because your wife is gorgeous. And it's just like, all right, cool. But again, to go back to the point, you have to be secure with who you are.
Facts.
Right? Before you try and date. Before you try and marry. Before you try and relate.
Yeah.
Right? So,
And I had a lot of control.
possessive and
controlling men too. I'm like, I look this way when you got with me. So what you trying to change up now for? But we ain't gonna talk. We that's for a later date. So we're gonna I'm gonna let you. We're gonna pivot into our special guest because I want to get into this
discussion on polyamory. Yeah. So,
yes.
Yeah, tonight's topic, we actually have a topic and a guest. We're going to be discussing polyamory in the 2020s. I know I've observed, and even at times we've had conversations around what we have seen from our peers and in the community, where we feel like certain variations of polyamory is being practiced, but it's informal. Mm-hmm. It's not actually polyamory, right? And that's a turnoff to some degree for a lot of women, because women like commitment and they like transparency, right? And polyamory is a formal culture. It is a thing. It is not being out here and aimlessly dating multiple people. It's not being dishonest with multiple people. So tonight's conversation is going to be centered around, one, what polyamory is, and we're going to debunk some of the myths and the stereotypes associated with the culture, right?
And I think a lot of myths with the culture is with the black culture, because when I have this, I ask like people of color, like, you know, like, why don't you just want to be with one woman or whatever? Because I just don't want to be with one woman.
Well,
I just can't just be with one hoe. I don't see myself just settling down with one person. And I'm just like...
Or we weren't meant to be that way, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I'm saying, but they're taking it in the wrong way, and that's like the wrong answer. Like, it's okay. Like, if that's what you want, that is okay. And make sure the woman is okay with that as well, and she consents to it. But it is so much, and we can have Lisa come on here, and she can really break it down to us in ways that we can understand better. Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's introduce Lisa.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you. This is so fancy. Hi. Oh goodness.
Don't be nervous.
I'll try not to be. I mean, there's a really beautiful person next to me. It's hard
No,
not
you're
to be
beautiful.
nervous. All right.
Sorry about that. So now I can formally introduce Lisa. So we have Miss Lisa Bradley with us from Atlanta Polyamory, and clap it up for Lisa. She's the expert who is going to talk us through the questions that we have from an educational standpoint, right? Like we said, the goal is to debunk the myths and the stereotypes, and even ask some personal questions to Lisa about how she interfaces in her relationship.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to kick off. Drea, you feel free to play off me.
Okay.
And if you have any questions that come like from your heart in the moment, you know, feel free to ask Lisa.
Okay.
But okay, so based on your personal experiences in polyamory,
Yeah.
have you ever felt any jealousy toward your partner for showing your other partner love and affection?
Well, let's before we get into the questions, what is your background? Like, how did you get into polyamory?
So polyamory came to me essentially when, well, honestly, I've been polyamory for most of my life because I didn't realize there was a word for that type of relationship situation. I have practiced polyamory since I was in my teens, but just didn't know that's what it was.
Oh wait, well, I don't mean to stop you, but you know, for the people that don't know, just define polyamory real quick.
Sure. So if you break down the word polyamory, poly means multiple or many, amory means love. So polyamory means to have many loves in your life. And it's really important to emphasize that polyamory is an ethical, non-monogamous relationship.
Ethical.
Yes, it has to be ethical. You said a lot of stuff about ethical that I loved.
Okay.
So
yes. Okay.
Okay, so back to my question.
Yeah.
Based on your personal experiences in polyamory,
Yeah.
have you ever felt any jealousy towards your partner for showing your other partner love and affection?
I might have felt jealousy, but not towards my partner. I felt jealous about the action not being granted to me. So I'm not jealous that he or she shares love with somebody else. In fact, I feel something called compersion, which is feeling happy that your partner is happy. So when I see my partner interacting with their other partner, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. They're such a cute couple. I really love what they do together. But then I might also feel like, well, I want that. And then so I will, at a later time, that's a better time to talk to my partner, be like, hey, I saw you dancing with your other partner. Can we go dancing sometimes? And so even though I want that, I don't let it overcome me. I just ask for what I want. I just get what I need.
Girl, I'll be jealous. I'll be like,
It sounds like that's a form of jealousy, but she just handles it really well.
Like an adult, right?
Yeah.
Jealousy
I
is
won't handle
completely
that.
normal
Yeah.
and natural, and it occurs in every relationship, no matter what. You're going to have jealousy everywhere, but it's exactly what you said. You just got to figure out how to communicate your jealousy to get what you need, and jealousy happens. It's going to always happen.
okay. So if you don't mind me asking, how many partner is it one man?
Currently, I have one partner who identifies as a man, yes.
And how many women?
I do not have any partners that identify as a female right now. I have had upwards of about 5 partners at one time, but right now I just have one, which is sad, but I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so when you guys go, do you guys go, are there different groups? Like, how do you go about finding these people?
Well, I am, as Gary mentioned, I'm a part of a community called Atlanta Polyamory Incorporated. We're like a 401(c) educational group. So we have tons of events for polyamorous people. We have education night, support group nights. There are people in the community who hold parties for polyamorous people. And once you kind of know one person, you kind of know the whole community.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people who are polyamorous and a lot of people who are open to dating. So sometimes we'll go on a date and it works out. Sometimes we're like, oh, that didn't work out. And that's
So when did you, and you said you always felt like you were a part of the polyamory community early on.
Yes.
So when did you realize that monogamy wasn't for you?
Oh goodness. When I got married, I committed to being in a monogamous relationship with somebody, and in order to do so, I kind of had to put away parts of myself that were, unfortunately, it turned out very important to my identity as a person. And after several years of marriage, we had a child together and everything. I expressed that maybe that isn't for me anymore. I kind of need to go back to the way I was. It didn't work out. And from that point on, I've always been open with my situation with everybody. I'm like, if we're going to date, you must know I'm polyamorous. I will always have other relationships going on.
Right.
And even if I don't have other relationships going on, I don't think I could just be strictly monogamous anymore, because it's so fulfilling for me to have multiple people that I love.
Yeah. And I think that's what, in our culture, in the Black culture, that's where we get it mixed up at, is like a man would date a woman but hide the other chick, instead of being like, hey, this is me.
Yep.
I don't want to date just you. If it's going to be you, it's going to be other women.
Yep.
But they're not transparent with it until they get caught. And
Oh.
then there's a whole drama, and then the drama's filled on Instagram, and it's all this, and
Until
it's
they
all
get
this.
caught. You're funny.
Yeah, and no, it is until they get caught. Then it's okay. Then it's like, okay, you've been outed, but
Now you want to be honest.
and now you want to be
Now you wanna be
honest, right? But instead of being honest in the beginning, like, this is what I am, and have the woman decide, like, this is what I want and this is what I don't want.
So
like, if I don't want to be if I don't want to share you, I don't want to share you. And I'll go back to R. Kelly. Like, he was in a
Polyamorous relationship. It looked to be a polyamorous
it was
relationship.
really, and these women consented to it because they didn't leave.
But I want to go back to Lisa, though, because I want to know what those initial conversations were like when you came to the conclusion in your monogamous marriage that polyamory meant more to you, right? What were those initial conversations like with your then partner, your family?
Oh, goodness. So my then partner essentially did not want to have that conversation, which resulted in us becoming divorced. And we are good friends now. We still talk to each other. We raise a son together. My child is the light of my life. And I even tell people going in that I'm polyamorous, but my number one priority is my child.
Right.
That is the number one most important relationship in my life, besides with myself.
Of course.
And that's the first thing. Absolutely. I'm going to be like, hey, I'm polyamorous. Currently, I have XYZ partners, if I have any. And there are very, very important conversations to be had around what we consider to be like health. So whether it's sexual health, mental health, financial health, with our partners. Are we going to be financially entangled? Are we going to be sexually entangled? Are we going to be mentally entangled?
Okay.
That's not always a given in polyamory, whereas in normal, culturally defined monogamous culture, there's this what we call the relationship escalator, which is like you date, you get married, you have kids, you move in together. Well, sorry, you probably move in before the kids. But you don't have to do that in polyamory. You can be like, I only want to have a child with you, and that's it. That's all I want. Period. And that's acceptable. Or you can say, I would like to date and live with you long term.
Okay.
And that's acceptable. So it's a lot of questions. I have like a questionnaire that I fill out.
And you're
and
open to men and women?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say I'm open to anyone, people who are even non-binary or gender fluid, man, women presenting, female presenting, male presenting. I don't really have a preference just because I like people so much. I like to know people's hearts. Oh, that sounds so corny. That sounds so corny.
No, that's real.
It's
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I understood it perfectly.
I agree with that.
I'm glad. So,
Do you date? Because a lot of people got a misconception that because earlier you said one partner, and then you say the other partner he dealing with his other partner.
Yes.
Do you so you don't do like the group thing? Like you don't have one partner that you share another partner with?
So this is gonna look so bad on camera. I'm in what's called a V relationship. So I'm here at the top, and then I have my main partner here, and then this partner is also dating somebody else. However, the two of us are not dating.
That's what I mean.
So we do share one partner together, and we're great friends. She's amazing. I love her.
But do you ever do the three thing where it's like?
I have not.
Okay.
It's very common. That's usually called a throuple or a triad.
Okay.
And then you have like an actual triangle. There's some famous celebrities that are in triads. I don't remember their names. I don't keep up with pop culture. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure it's a lie.
D-Ray Davis, I think, has 2 wives, doesn't he?
Who?
D-Ray Davis.
I think
really?
Lou
definitely had 2 girls.
Lou Will as well. The
Lou
basketball
Will?
player, Lou Will.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if it's 4 people, it's called a quad.
Okay.
If all 4 of them are dating each other. I call my group a polycule, like a molecule. It's like dots that are all connected. So it used to be like me, Lisa was here, and I was dating like 5 people. And then I had a partner that was dating 2 or 3 people, and then that partner's dating multiple people.
And do you guys all stay in the same house?
Oh no, I have my own place.
The
I
level
can't.
of security you have to have
For real.
with yourself sounds like amazing. Like if you were having a conversation, Lisa, right now with a young person who was struggling, right,
Yeah.
with the idea of polyamory, how would you help them? How would you get them to come to peace with what they're feeling and who they are?
Therapy. Go to
Therapy.
therapy. Go to therapy. In my personal opinion, nothing is more like eye-opening than going to therapy, realizing what it is you're insecure about, and owning that. Some people, like you mentioned, some people are going to what is that word? Project their insecurities onto other people. But it's not about them, it's about you. So once I figured out what it is that I want and what I'm secure about, I just ask people for it. And if they say no, guess what? That's it.
so
it's fine.
dope. So many people struggle to figure out who they
Who
are.
yeah. And just be honest with it. And like you said, in therapy is probably a really good outlet for people to actually be like, damn, this is what I need. Because
Yes.
we had our last episode, we talked about the church a lot, but the church can condemn
Yes.
what we're talking about right
Yes.
now.
It puts you in a box.
It puts you in a box.
Yes.
But if you go to therapy and people are confused and don't know what they want, and they go to therapy with somebody who's non-biased, having that
Open-minded.
non-biased
Yep.
opinion, and actually asking those questions, and you open it up to them, it's like, okay, well, dang, like I can do this. And, but but I still want to keep saying, like, let it be known.
Yes.
Please let the
Absolutely.
other person know.
You
Absolutely.
thinking
Instead of
about the
trying to-
black community.
That's
what
what, because I see it, because I've seen shows with the polygamy and the
Yep.
polyamory, and well, one man will have multiple wives, and the wives will have kids, and they have land and stuff. But we don't see that in the black community. Instead, in the black community, you have Love and Hip Hop,
Yep.
where it's showed in a negative light. Where you have, and it's being showed on TV,
Yep.
but then he's messing with this girl, then he's messing with this girl, and it's just like,
That's not formal though. That's informal. See,
it's
one thing
informal.
that
That's
Lisa
what I'm
keeps
saying.
reiterating
Be
through her
upfront
examples,
with it.
upfront with it, but then there's an expectation too, almost like a mutual understanding
Yeah.
with everyone that you're not observing on Love and Hip Hop. You're not observing from a lot of our peers in the black community.
I know I mentioned
Definitely a code.
off radio that there is a lot of discussion at the intersection of being polyamorous and black, an experience I cannot speak to as I am not black. However, I know that there's a lot of discussion on that. There's a lot of cultural implications that, again, I'm not familiar with in the black community that paints polyamory as being more negative. And it's really unfortunate, but at the same time, there's also a big movement here in Atlanta. And there's a group called Black Polyamory in Atlanta that focuses specifically on the black experience and being polyamorous.
so in your groups, do you see a lot of African Americans?
We do. I would say we have 2 or 3 leaders on our board that I work with every month that are black and polyamorous, and I think they are also queer. So we try to really represent the people in our community and really want to advocate for the minority, not just black people, but also people who are polyamorous, queer, Asian, like any type of minority. We're like, we want you. Please come here.
Okay.
So
Okay. So at the end of this, we're gonna definitely let you
Shout out your
organization.
Thanks.
If you have an
Awesome.
Instagram, websites, all
Promote
that
it.
stuff.
Oh my
But
gosh, thank
we
you
still
so
have
much.
some
Or
more
even some of our
questions.
viewers too, like if you're struggling, you want to reach out to Lisa.
definitely do, please.
Of course, right. Okay, so what are some of the most common misconceptions regarding polyamory?
Sex. It's all sex.
Okay.
So much sex. And I'm like,
And that's what I thought. That's something that I thought. Cause I'm
Me
thinking
too.
everybody was sleeping with.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the man
I
was
did.
sleeping with
Y'all
everybody,
funny.
but you just said if it's for, I just want to have a baby with you,
Yeah.
or it's financial with you,
Yeah.
or if it's for this with you.
Yeah.
So I didn't know
No,
that.
I had a partner that I would say most of my partners I don't have sexual relations with, honestly. I do have one partner that I have sexual relations with, and that's just because I'm very comfortable with that partner, and it takes me a long time to get comfortable sexually. Once we're comfortable, though, yeah. But I think that's the biggest misconception is like people assume that everybody's having sex and we're all having sex together, and
Yes.
I have sex with my neighbor.
That's what I thought that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, sex is fun, and there are a lot of people who have a lot more sex than me for sure. But I think that is definitely the biggest misconception, in my personal opinion, that I've personally experienced.
Do you feel like the future is going to consist of more polyamory, more polyamorous relationships?
I mean, I can hope.
I think so.
I think in our community, I think we are on the cusp of like a wave of it.
I've noticed a huge upsurge of people identifying as polyamory, especially in the younger generation. They're like, oh, this is an option? I want this. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, I have people who are like in their late teens, early 20s, like, oh yeah, I have like 3 girlfriends. And I'm like,
They get,
gosh,
it's totally
you guys are
different.
communicating and having open and meaningful conversations?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's definitely in the younger generation because the older generation is like
Closed-minded
shunned up.
still. They're
It's
still in their
shunned
box.
upon.
Stuck in their
it's-
ways.
Yeah, stuck in their ways.
It's
Most
true.
definitely.
It's
Most
true.
definitely.
What would be the difference between polyamory and polygamy?
It's just the suffix word. So polyamory is many loves, and polygamy just means many marriages. So
Okay.
you can.
Okay.
That's all it means.
Okay,
And-
so that's why. Okay.
Yeah, I think more people know the word polygamy because of
The shows is out there.
there's
That's
shows
why.
out there, and
There's
there's
shows.
also
history
like
yeah.
too.
I think
The
there's
history,
some-
I think, right?
yeah, there's a history of like especially men having many
Many
wives.
wives, yeah.
Right.
Where I'm just kind of like, I need the opposite. I need a lot of husbands. I need you to fix the washer.
I
I
heard
need you to fix
but I heard there's a word for that where the woman has multiple husbands.
polyandry.
Polyandry.
I believe that's what it is. Please.
No, you're
Watch
right.
out,
You're
Lil
right.
Durk.
You're right.
Watch out, Dirk.
Polyandry.
Many
Okay.
men in your life.
Yes,
I
many
think
men.
I think that's what he's afraid of. He's afraid that the rich lady gonna say, "Well, I want 2 rappers,"
Right. Right.
and he's gonna be
But-
like, "A kid, you got more money than me."
Right. And I think another thing is like, I'm just speaking from my experience.
Of course, absolutely.
And that's why we're here, so you can educate us.
Of course.
And a lot of these men can't afford these women.
Nope.
That's the big problem.
That's the
Hold on.
biggest. I mean, like,
Let's drop some bombs.
I'm just like,
These niggas want 2 girls, can't afford one.
can't afford one.
What the
I'm
fuck
like, you
are you
can't even
doing?
afford. What is you doing?
Right.
You're trying to flex. I'm just like, you don't even have the funds to even support these women.
But so you at this point, poor Lisa, but like, you gotta
Unless
wonder
she has
what they're
money
running
herself.
from. Like, what are you running from? Because if you're not finding fulfillment with the person that you're with, and you feel like you gotta go in an informal way, almost it's a shady way.
It's
not-
very
yeah,
shady. Yeah.
It's very shady.
You're
Like,
cheating.
It's some kind
Right,
of
right.
It's some kind of gap inside you
Yeah.
that you're not at peace with. It's something going on inside.
I
Because
also-
y'all are right. You can't afford 2.
Right.
You barely afford 1 woman.
You can't. 2 girls, no car. I'm just saying. I feel
Thank you.
with some people, honestly, they robbing people of the choice, and I think
Yes.
they do that because if they knew, I think they would just go to the community you in, and then they can have what they want. But instead, they out here in a regular community where it's like it's still kind of frowned upon somewhat. So you're trying to trick a girl into being with you
Sad.
because she says she wants to be in a relationship with you, and instead of you saying, "Well, that's not what I want," you saying, "Okay," but then you still dating.
Right.
Whereas you could have, and if you keep it real with her, she's not gonna do it.
Right.
So it's like instead
But
of
do you
losing
know?
her.
You didn't even ask her. You didn't.
You're
you
right.
didn't give her the
Exactly.
option.
The problem is 90% of the time they
Robbing
might
them
say
of-
no.
You're
But
robbing them of the
but
choice. That's sad.
she might say yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
but
sad.
you never know. Just
never know.
ask. Say, "This is what I want," and that's why. I have love for Future. Like that's my man, because he gonna say he gonna have multiple. Like
That
he,
nigga, yeah.
he put it out. He put it out there.
All the
I
way.
think he tried with Sierra, but he just couldn't.
He tried with a few women.
He tried with but he just can't do it, and he just keeps it real.
Yeah.
And I just have respect for that.
In
He
other
said it
words,
in the interview. He said, "I got a problem with women."
Yeah.
They said, "How much money do you think you spent on women last year?" The nigga said $3 million.
Woo.
In other words, he sets the expectation.
He says,
Yeah.
and you know another one who does is P. Diddy. He did a interview years ago, and he said he cannot be with just with one woman. He's like, I will have a main woman where she will get 90% of me. But the other women, he said, I would start businesses for her. I would give her the world. I would do this. I would do this. But I just cannot be with one woman. And she has to agree with that. And this was at the point when he was with Cassie. And I think she probably wasn't, she probably just wanted more. And that's why she moved on. And now she has a baby. She got married.
Wow.
And, that's probably what P. Diddy didn't want.
Yeah.
But she accepted it for all those years, and then maybe because you grow.
Yeah, yeah.
As you get older, you
change.
grow, you change, and she's like, maybe this is not what I want anymore. Maybe I want kids, and I want to be with one person. I want to be married and have kids. And she had to get out of it because he did say out of his mouth, and I think it was a interview on V103 when he said that. He's like, I would give my main girl 90%. She could have 90% of me, but it will always be somebody else. But he was honest with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part. And as relationships grow and your needs change, like maybe you went into this relationship and you're like, oh, I don't want to have children. I want to just, have a fling. And then you're like, actually, 5 years down the road, I do want to have kids. And then your partner's like, well, it's not me. And then you just be like, okay, well, do you still want to be in a relationship with me without a child? You
Lisa
can do a
making it sound
renegotiation.
easy right now.
She does. Let me tell you
She
something.
made it sound so easy
Right.
because
That shit sound like
You
get
guys-
slap talk.
What's the
Get-
Lisa's
get
Well,
slapped.
listen,
we need
listen,
get going
I-
to jail talk.
I want to have a
Going
kid
to
now. You don't
jail
want to have a
talk.
kid? What you mean you want to have a kid with somebody else? Yes. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Well, Lisa, that's the difference between the black community, because a nigga gonna get slapped if he come to his girl talking about we've been monogamous for this long, but now I want to have a kid, even though we agreed not to. Now I want kids, and she probably can't have kids, and y'all agreed, and now you like, well, I want to have a kid. You mind if I go over here and do it? You get your head knocked off. Okay?
Well, I mean, because the rules of engagement.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, to Lisa's point though, it's so wild though, Rich, because part of human evolution is growth and change.
Facts.
So
Facts.
there may be an issue with closed-mindedness that we got to explore too. It's deeply seated in our community because if you're the same person you were when you met anybody, you know,
that's bad.
It is bad.
It's a bad sign. So, you know, you kind of got the prerogative, like, well, maybe I didn't want kids 5 years ago, but
I want them now.
Now,
Play with a couple babies.
I feel my mortality. And I want an extension to groom because I want a baby.
Yep.
You know what's real? I was doing a show with someone else, and they was talking about prenuptial agreements and stuff like that. And I was like, well, how do you have a conversation about something ahead of time? You know, your feelings might change. And then the person said, well, you know what? That's when you should renegotiate how you feel. And I said, damn, you know, a lot of people don't think that. When you're in a relationship, you get to a certain point and be like, hey, let's sit down and have that initial conversation again and see where we at. See if you still agree.
Communication, sir.
Yeah, see if you still agree, still, you know what I'm saying? But that was my first time really hearing it, and it made me think, like, damn, we should be more open like that.
We do. And me and my husband, every year on our anniversary, that's what we do.
Aww.
Every year on our anniversary, we go to.
Y'all get some real personal information tonight. Like,
y'all get some personal information on our relationship tonight.
I would never tell y'all any of this.
Yes, on our anniversary every night, we say what are the highs and the lows of our relationship.
Wow.
And what was the lows that we experienced, what were the highs, and what can we make better going for the next year, and we set goals for the next year.
Amazing.
You know what though?
That's dope. Y'all gonna help a lot of relationships by disclosing that information, and a lot about people.
A lot of people want us to do like
a marriage show,
but he doesn't want to be in front of the camera so much.
And he don't want to give up all them jewels. That nigga say, I don't know why you talk about it. Wait till we get home. This year our lows was when you kept telling everybody what the hell I do.
My parents were married for like 33 years, so I just observed, and then I applied what I saw work.
Smart man.
Communication though, because again, tonight's show, the topic is polyamory. Yeah. So you go to Lisa's situation, communication,
everything,
rules of engagement. You got to set the expectation, right? If folks don't have a mutual understanding. Or maybe if it's more than one partner, mutual is not the word, but you get what I'm saying. If folks don't have a collective understanding on what the expectations are, then it's only so far any kind of relationship is going to go.
Yes.
So I just want to bring it back to that. My wife is right. I'm big on communication, big on transparency. She's like my friend too. And that's one thing I always try to work on too is the friendship.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in the marriage is like the partnership, you know, and it's like you got to pay the bills and the monotony.
Then we had the business, and it's like, and it's like,
sometimes we
forget to be
friends. Like, man, let's just get drunk one night and dance in the living room.
That sounds like fun.
But to get back to the topic,
but you know, communication. That when we say that, it's very deep because I'm thinking about your situation and the nucleus that you were talking about. Y'all, like the communication has to be so good because first of all, you said you dated 5 people. You have to have a separate communication line with all 5 of them because they don't talk to each other, right? There's no need, but there's no need because they're not together.
True, there is no need. Sometimes I do end up dating people who are friends.
Right.
So we'll be like, oh, let's all go out today and play pool together. So it'll be like a group of like 10 people playing pool, and then I'll be like, all right, who's going home with who tonight?
So
what do we do?
But they're not dating each other, right?
So those people aren't true, but they'll still talk sometimes if they work together, or if they are friends, or they play games together, or they have a hobby that they share. Then
So you said you're like the V, right?
Yes, I am. So I'm here. I got my boyfriend Jelly Bean. That's his moniker.
He has his,
and then he has his girlfriend. He has his girlfriend Lucy.
So do you guys how do you guys do your days?
We joke. I'm the morning girlfriend. and Lucy is the afternoon, evening girlfriend. Because I have a young son at home. I'm going to go out and like have my morning routine where I'm going to go drop my son off at school, go to the gym, maybe go say hi to my boyfriend, be like, hey, would you like to get lunch or brunch while we're working together? And then I go home and I don't see him until the weekend.
This is my last question I have for you, Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
Because you mentioned being a mom.
Yes.
How are you grooming your son as it pertains to polyamory?
Mm-hmm.
When he turns like 17, that age, like how are you going to, I guess, share the lifestyle?
Okay.
And then for younger people who are watching the show, who are open to the lifestyle, but maybe they're in a household where they got these two conventional parents who they know would be opposed to it. How would you begin to have those conversations?
Oh, goodness.
Between generations.
Okay. So first thing, if I may say so, I wouldn't use the word grooming. It has an extremely negative connotation in the community where typically an older man is grooming a not of age younger woman to be his ideal woman, and he's essentially manipulating her. So I wouldn't use the word grooming, but I am raising my son to be open and considerate of the fact that Mommy does have multiple partners. He already knows all of them.
Period.
We all have dinner together on Wednesday. We call it our Poly Wednesday dinner. We all go to one house. We all cook together. My son knows everybody. He is currently at home with Lucy. She is watching him for me, so I could come out here tonight. She is technically called my metamor, so not my amor, which would be my love, but my metamor, one love removed. So we joke that she's like my step-girlfriend. Because her and I go out, we get our nails done together, we get our hair done together, we do everything together.
Okay, so y'all sound like a little nice group. So bringing up the children, at what point in time do you introduce your son to the different people?
I introduce all of my potential partners first and foremost as friends. I want people that I'm going to be dating to be my friends first. If you are going to be in my life in any regard, we have to be friends first. I have been dating Jellybean for 3-ish years now. We were friends for 10 years before that.
Period.
And I think I would have to at least have a friend for 1 or 2 years before I actually consider seriously dating them, especially because I have a son. And one thing that's really important is if you make something seem like a big deal to a kid, they're going to think it's a big deal. But if you're just like, oh, this is Mommy's good friend now. He's going to stay the night. We're all going to have dinner together. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. I have noticed that children of polyamorous people don't really care because they're children. What they care about is how it's going to affect them and their friend group and their mentality. To my son, all he knows is now he has these really cool adults in his life that'll do different things with him. Jellybean and him play board games. And then he's got another member in our polycule that he plays actual console games with. And then for our other partners, we go hiking with this person. So he knows these people as they relate and affect him. But I haven't formally introduced it to him as like we are polyamorous. And I don't think I will personally because he's growing up in this. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to polyamory support group. And my son is under the age of 10. And he's just like, okay, Mom, bye. And I don't want it to be a big deal. So I don't want to make it a big deal. However, if you are like not at all polyamorous and you come up in a very conventional household, that's a little harder. There's a lot of information on how to come out as polyamorous and how to engage in that. There's a lot of information on that. That's not something I ever had to do. I literally told my dad, I was like, Dad, I've got 2 boyfriends. And he was like, how'd you do that? He's like, I've been trying to get me another girlfriend. And his wife is in the back like, seriously, how'd you do that? And I like love her. And then I told my mother, who is Korean, by the way, I was like, Mom, I have 2 boyfriends. She goes, no, you don't. And I brought them over, and she goes, who are these 2 guys? And I was like, these are my boyfriends. She's like, you were serious? Do they pay for everything? And I'm like, yes, they pay for everything.
Yes, that's how you do it, sis.
And that's when she was happy. She was happy for me when I decided.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
I like Mom Duke. She's funny.
That's what my mom cares about.
Her question says, they pay for everything?
Do they pay for everything?
Yes.
Right.
Good girl. That's what Mom's scared about. Right. I did a good job.
Right.
But I make enough for myself. I do. I can take care of myself.
Okay.
But But I'm really fortunate. I'm super happy, very glad that I do have partners who care and love me and take care of me when I really need to be taken care of. So, but I'm a strong, independent woman. I can do it too.
Yeah, what you think about polyamory?
Oh, nah.
He said, I'm good.
I respect the polyamorous community. I respect polyamory.
Sharon is caring, bro.
But that's one thing about me. You know this. I'm super open-minded and respectful to other cultures and other walks of life, and that's why we can do a show like this.
I know. It's
you know what I'm saying? Like,
dope, yeah.
And we're observing. I'll call it diet versions of this. Like my wife and I, we got people always hit us up like, how can I get what you have? I'm dealing with this person and this person ain't shit. That's the biggest quote. This person ain't shit. Why aren't they shit? And it's because they're struggling with commitment.
Yeah. Instead of being honest with it and be like, I just can't and I do. Yeah, it's
that's what it all boils down to. Every time the why.
I'm just like, because it's a younger, but no, it's our age group. It's like
they're struggling.
They're still struggling with commitment issues. Yeah.
Your age group? May I ask what your age group?
We are.
We are in our late 20s. Sorry.
Late 20s, early 30s.
I'm 42. Okay. I don't give a fuck.
You look good. You look 32.
Thank you. You hear that? That's funny. I look 32. I'm 42.
Funny. No, so in closing then, Lisa, let people know how they can reach you.
Yes.
Atlanta Polyamory as well.
Yep.
And if there are any closing statements that you have and shout outs, feel free to give them.
Well, of course, shout out to Jellybean and Lucy. Thank you both for watching the baby while I was out tonight. Again, I'm a part of a community called Atlanta Polyamory Incorporated. We do have a website. It's called atlantapolyamory.org. We have a meetup, a Discord, an Instagram, and a Facebook. You can look for us on any of these social medias. We're pretty quiet at the moment, but we're trying to ramp up. COVID hit us really hard. We do a lot of events, either like outside where it's safe. We do things indoors when it is available. And then we also do support groups. If you are struggling with polyamory or even communication with your partner, please check us out. We do have really great resources and people available. Another group I would check out in Atlanta is Black Polyamory. I'm not a member of this group. However, I know that you mentioned that it can be a difficult challenge for Black people, and I would like everyone to be aware that that's an availability to them.
Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Very informative. Thank you.
Very informative.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
We'll go home and get slapped.
Thank you.
I'm about to bring it up. So,
hey, Rich,
I learned something today. So if I got a black cheek, it's your fault.
Show me a photo later.
But yeah, very informative.
Very informative. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
We'll probably
just come in.
The recap will be on YouTube tomorrow.
Awesome.
So for those of you who didn't stream live, you'll see the recap tomorrow on YouTube, and it'll be on social media as well.
Yes.
And then you can follow Sis Was Good on Instagram at @SisWasGood_. Shout out to Tea Time. Tea Time, get better, sir.
Yes.
You had me in front of the camera tonight.
So sorry.
Tea Time.
Yes. And thank you for joining the Classy Bougie Ratchet podcast. We kept it a little classy and bougie tonight, you know. and we just want to inform because I think a lot of our people are very they're not informed about different stuff like this, so we want to inform our people.
I think you're doing a wonderful thing.
Thank you so much. And not to be, because being with my husband and me growing up in the church and me just being with him, he's so open-minded, and he opens my mind to different things. I'm just like,
that's a good partnership.
And I think about this stuff so much differently now. And I was like, since you made me aware of this, I feel like other people should be aware of it too. So let's bring it to our podcast and just make our people aware. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining. We love you every
y'all.
time.
Bye.
You are now tuned in to Black Ink Radio. Turn up the